How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Disband back at it again with a new series, How to Play Millia Rage. So in this series, we're simply going to be starting off with basic stuff, and as it progresses, we'll dive into the more advanced things this character can do. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, our main goal of this first episode is going to be going over mix-ups and Oki setups with this character. Her main game plan is trying to get the opponent into hard knockdown situations. That way they're forced to guess over and over again. So some of her more basic stuff would be after grab, she can get safe jumps. So let's say they try to mash, try to up back or chicken block. That will beat that. You could do JK, but JH is a better option because they can't 6P it since it hits below the waist. 6P is an anti-air, it's universal for each character, and since falling JH with Millia hits below the waist, 6P cannot combat that. So it's really important to use that. JK is decent as well, but they can 6P that, so keep that in mind. So once you have your opponent conditioned, you can really start mixing things up with disc Oki. For example, after hard knockdown, you can IAD over them. Though that's not a true thing right there, once they're conditioned, they're not going to want to try to up, back, or mash on you anymore, and that does beat cross-up protection. So it's a really good option to just throw out every once in a while, especially once your opponent is conditioned. With this next set of options, it works really well against characters with DPs, but it'll also work against opponents that have been respecting you because you've conditioned them. So let's go ahead and throw into disc. As you can see right there, you can grab opponents out of DP, which is really strong, especially with this setup that Millia possesses. Alright, so this option only works against Soul when he DPs after grabbing to disc Oki, but if you do Capel, it does beat his DP and it's really strong, especially because there's so many dirty Soul players running around right now because he's widely considered the best character in the game. So if you play against a Soul, I would check them with that at least 1 or 2 times early in the set just to see how they play. Because most Soul players I've played tend to want to DP a lot. So keep that in mind. One more thing I like to do with Millia after grabbing to disc Oki is if I have 50% tension, I like to use Drift Purple RC because you can cross over them and cross back. Although they can DP out of that, it's still a safe jump as long as you don't press nothing at the wrong time and then you get a big counter hit punish. But to do this, you pretty much plink your macro. I mean, this works with any RCs, but for example, you want to come here if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you should see dash, and I have it set to R2 and I play on pad. But playing Millia, this is just a little tip and trick in the middle of the video. Playing Millia, you should definitely have dash macro on. Like right now, I don't have to dash, I'm just pressing R2 and I'm dashing over them, and it helps out a ton if you play this character. So definitely have the macro on if you don't already. So we've shown 1 of 4 options that Millia can get hard knockdown from already, and that's grab. Another way is 2D. Another way is her slide. And the final way is super. Either super will give you a hard knockdown, so keep that in mind. Once again, her main game plan, like I said at the beginning of the video, is to try to put the opponent into a hard knockdown situation. That way she can set up disc Oki and just make them guess for their lives. Okay, so the next way we're going to show hard knockdown is from her sweep or her 2D. And most of the time you're probably going to get hits like this that lead into it. And when I do get into this situation right here, I like to set up disc Oki and go for 2K as a low. You can also get her JS to link as well, but most of the time I like to go into 2K for the low mix, because once you condition them to block high after a overhead type move, that low becomes really dangerous. Really dangerous. Keep in mind, if you do get a hard knockdown with her sweep, that her 2K does link. They can't up back, they can't mash. That's one reason I think this is her best option for a hard knockdown, because you can also get the overhead to link, so it is a true high-low at that point, whereas grab doesn't lead into a true low, but you can still do it once you condition them. If you have over 50% tension and you get a hit into sweep, keep in mind that going for that is a good way to mix things up as well. That super leads into a hard knockdown, although you do have to dash up a little bit, and the timing can be tricky, so lab it. But you essentially just do a little micro dash. I use macro once again to do it, and you just throw out the disc, and if you do it right, it is meaty and you get a high-low. So it's definitely an option that's on the table, and you do want to keep mixing things up with Millia. You don't want to keep autopiloting and doing the same thing, because once the opponent gets a read on that and you don't change it up, then they're going to have a lot easier time of dealing with this character than they should. Let's take a look at Millia's hard knockdown from slide now. This has to be the weirdest one, mainly because if you want traditional disco key, they have to be in the corner essentially. So for example, do something like this, and that does work, but for it to have to be in the corner or close to the corner, it's a little situational. This is going to be some more of the advanced stuff after hard knockdown with Millia. So some of this has been recently discovered in the last couple days, but in certain situations you can use your slash disc or S disc, and right there I stayed same side, but you can also get cross up like that, and that can be really strong against opponents because it breaks cross up protection. The only trick is this one is a little more auto timed. Like after you do grab, you kind of do backdash sprint, and then you do the S version of disc. So that one isn't as hard to do. The one after slide, I can't get it consistently. I quit going for it in match, but you essentially after slide dash twice and then do it. Let me try it mid screen. So something like that, but the timing is really weird, so maybe someone will find something more auto timed for it, but in the meantime I probably wouldn't go for that version in match, although the one after grab is really strong, so I would lab that out and get that timing down if anything. Okay, so I believe this next version was discovered by Sonic Fox in the open beta 2. I've been using it ever since I saw the clip on Twitter. It does cost 50% tension, but I think it's really strong in the right situations. So for example, you can red RC at the end, and it gives you enough time to properly set up disco key, and I hit people with it all the time, especially let's say for example the opponent's like right next to the wall. I'm trying to push them in the wall, but all right, let's say they're like right there and you do it, there's like a little gap behind them, so obviously if you do the cross up, they usually won't even see it coming. But that's another great option, so lab that out. The timing can be a little weird on it, but nothing too crazy. Alright, that's going to conclude the video for today. Definitely new tech yet to be discovered with Millia, and I left a couple things out RC related mix wise, but I'm going to make a video on Roman cancels in the future anyways. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps out a lot. Y'all stay safe, and peace out.